Hope you can hear me with the fan on. I've been disking. Not good for the lungs. Turn that off. Oh man. I don't know if I'm sure other people have said this, but embrace division. So many people, I know I've talked about this before, but so many people talking about how we can bring the country back together. We're so divided. How can we all get along? Let's put our differences aside, come back together as one. First of all, we've never been one. We've never been unified because our system doesn't allow for that. But I say embrace the division. And I'm speaking on this as just a citizen in, Western culture, not necessarily as a Christian, although I can make a biblical argument for this. I'm just setting this aside. I'll set that aside just for a moment. But just as a person, voter, right-winger type dude, embrace the division. A lot of people say, well, can we take our ideologies, meaning our opinions of faith, religion, politics, these sort of things. Let's take our, even education, let's take our ideologies, set those aside, and come together, become one, and, kind of work it all out kind of thing. That's wrong. That's not a good idea. That should not be promoted. First of all, just from a political standpoint, if there's something that's a considerable difference, I mean, something considerable like sending money to another country, abortion, religion. I wouldn't want someone of some different faith being able to vote their faith and force it upon me. Okay? Even though I'm a Christian, I wouldn't want someone to take the Christian faith and try to force it upon atheists with legislation. That's ridiculous. But let's say that was a difference. Well, if someone's trying to force their idea upon you through legislation, I can't be friends with this person. I can be neighborly, as a believer, I have to be neighborly and, this sort of thing. But I can't be friends with this person. I can't sit here and, maybe someone's trying to force and I don't want to name them all, but just anything. It could be about environmentalism or the gender thing or whatever. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. If your beliefs somehow impose sanctions upon me, or taxes upon me, or regulation upon me, or restricts my movement, okay, or tries to supplant your authority over my children kind of thing, and I feel what you're trying to do is negative, unless we can work it out and I can get you to stop, okay, stop what you're doing, cease and desist, we're not going to be friends. We're not going to go along to get along. I can't put something like that aside and maintain anything other than being neighborly. And you would have to be my neighbor for that, to be other than being neighborly, because we're so close. You have to have some sort of relationship. There's something civil. But I'm not going to support you or embrace you or outside of just considering you just as another human being. You'd cross traffic. I'll probably slow down, this kind of thing. But I'm not going to, well, we can still get along. No, we can't. We can't be friends. We can't be friends. We will not break bread. Okay, kind of thing. And I hear this so often. Well, we got to put our ideology. Rogan's real big on this. Oh, it's the ideologies. Dude, your ideology is what you believe. Okay, it's whatever your belief system is. And if someone is coming back combating your ideology, you can't put that aside. That's who you are. Okay, I'm trying to think of another guy who does this all the time. Yeah, we got to put all that stuff aside and we need to all come together as Americans. That's not what it is. That's not the culture we have now. That's not our basis. If you took all the ideologies away, well, we'd see each other as Americans. No, we wouldn't. It's still us and them. It's a human nature. It's who we are. But this idea that, well, if I were an atheist and someone was imposing their religious faith-based beliefs upon me through legislation. I mean, they could try just on the stride. Dude, I'm not listening. You're not my thing. Goodbye. But now you're trying to change the laws where I have to somehow embrace some of all or part of your thing. No, we're not going to be friends. I need to stop you. Okay? I'm resisting you. And I'm certainly not going to give you friendship. That's not going to happen. I can't put that aside and still somehow we're going to go to barbecues or something like that, or be able to laugh or whatever the case is. You are not my friend, okay? And it's very important to me, and I believe most people should believe, that you should know that. We are divided upon this line. Here's what I believe, and you are threatening that. Just so you know, just to be clear, just to be transparent. So now maybe this person will think, hey, they're not down with what I'm promoting here. Maybe they'll reflect. See, any idea where someone says we need to go along to get along, we need to put our differences aside, what they're really saying is one side has to quit and surrender. Okay, I've been in management a long time, dealing with people with issues and this kind of thing. There's rarely a time, well, okay, you allow me to do a little of this, I'll allow you to do a little. That never happens. One side has to quit and surrender, and the other side just continue doing what it wants to do. That's how it typically works out. Okay, I've yet to see environmentalists say, you know what, just for the sake of unity, we don't care if you get an electric car. Matter of fact, drill for oil and keep driving those V8s. But we would like you to consider our position, but we're not going to force our belief upon you. Continue using oil, drive your V8s, this kind of thing. But we're going to drive electric cars. That's what we prefer. We're trying to set an example. But if you don't want to be part of it, that's okay. I've never heard an environmentalist come from that position. Okay? Willing to, just for the sake of unity. Okay? Let's we're not going to force this on you. We're not going to try to go legislation to take all your combustible engines away like they're doing in California. Outlawing the engine. Retarded. Kind of thing. So how are we going to put ideologies aside? They're trying to get people on the right to quit and surrender. That's what they're talking about. They're not trying to say, hey, let's put our ideas aside and come together. Because these people with these far out ideas, they never put their stuff aside. It's who they are. Okay, so there's none of this, well, let's meet in the middle. Let's each go halfway. I'll give a little, you take a little, whatever the case is. That never happens. Never. Never, never, especially in politics. Or in these cultural battles that we're having now. There is no putting these things aside. I mean, how could you, if you were someone of, I'll go down the abortion thing again or whatever, but there's embrace the division. I want you to know where I stand. We may disagree, but here's where I stand. Here's my line. Okay, you don't want to cross this line. Okay. But even though if you're staying on your line, the moment you try to impose upon this threat limit that I have, we're not friends. Okay, and it's important to me that you know this. If you're imposing regulation, restraint, inject something into my system, whatever the thing is, or your faith, or whatever the case, you're trying to impose that upon me, we are not friends. And I cannot put my beliefs, my opinions aside to maintain our friendship for the sake of unity. Don't want it. And I think most people, it doesn't matter what side you're on, I think most people believe that. So when these people are telling you, oh, we're so divided, they're dividing us, we got to come together, so we get that's not possible. There's no coming together because the differences are too great. And the kind of differences that we have now, that's something you need to stand on. Here's my mountain to die on right here. Okay, I'm not going to come off this mountain just for unity, let's all be unified, coming together as one. Not going to happen. Because these are big, it's not about what football team you promote or whether or not to have parking tickets or some stupid little thing like that. These are big deals, whether it's abortion, all this environmentalist stuff we have in California, or a border, all this kind of stuff. These are not little things that you can set aside to save your friendship. Okay. Embrace division. Put your line in the sand. Let people know who you are, what you stand for. And you can still be neighborly. But do not expect me to meet you halfway or come into your deal. Because I know the plan. One side has to surrender. It ain't me. Love you. God bless.